them and, put pictures and all of that and send them as gifts for everybody.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or just like
Well, that's Elsie's Wine Art, everybody. And you know what? You're talking about cutting wine bottles.
Yes.
My wife and I run a branding agency, and one of our clients had like an e-commerce product, which is like a wine bottle cutting device.
Yes.
It like cuts around, and I guess
Yeah.
I don't know too much about it, but you apparently do. Awesome. Well, good to see you, Elsie, and everybody. Look at all these awesome people here. My goodness, we get to hang out every day. How lucky am I? Hi, Jan. I see you waving. Good to see you guys. Can we get a group wave going for everybody who's on camera? Group wave. Yay, we're awake. Yay. Good to see you guys. All right, let's go back on speaker view.
I see that tattoo, John.
What's my tattoo? Oh, one of them is right here. That's well, hold on a second. Since you're asking, that's not the topic. I know this is terribly unprofessional.
this
I
is
love that.
dragon.
It's a dragon.
It's a dragon.
Yeah.
It's actually an original design. It's a one of a kind. I got this when I was 18 years old. Actually in Nashville, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville, in Old Hickory, Tennessee, at a place called Forever Yours. Old biker guy. His name was Ron. And he named it when I was done. I was like, here's what I want. I drew it up. And he was like, all right. He put his own embellishments on it. And he named it when he was done. He said, Big Meat. All right.
We're not touching that with a 15-foot pole.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, welcome everyone to our daily success call. We're going to talk about all kinds of things today: wine art, cutting of wine bottles, big meat, tattoos, etc., etc. So,
well, I can leave now. Thank you.
all right. That's it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And we'll see you again next time. Tune in tomorrow for Karen, who arguably is more sane. But I'm glad to be here with you all. Good to see Crystal. Good to see Rose. Good to see everybody. You know what I was just thinking about as we were getting ready to go live here? I was thinking about how fortunate I am, and each of us are, that we get to have help. We get to have mentoring. We get to have a community and a community approach to things which people would assume, I would imagine, people would assume that this is a solopreneur activity, right? I mean, it's e-commerce, it's you, and it's your computer screen. And then of course it's the marketplace, which is, countless, people, but it's the solo effort. And while I think everyone here knows that I'm a big proponent of, individual integrity and personal responsibility, right? These are things that have created a lot of success for me. I can also attest to, others here in our community, people like Rachel, for example, comes to become successful in e-commerce, which is obviously very successful in. That was something that was a very self-determined approach. There wasn't, let's say, a whole staff of people telling her what to do when she decided, I'm going to go ahead and pursue this, like for real, pursue it. Okay. And yet, as soon as one steps out, you can say this for yourself, right? Have you not seen this in your life? When you step out in a self-determined way, when you begin to demonstrate leadership and intent and action, that's how you demonstrate it, is through your action. Isn't it so that others tend to become enrolled in your vision? Why? Because of where you're going, right? If you think about everything that's happening here, the dynamic of this group and this whole business project and e-commerce, low-hanging system, print on demand, right? This whole movement, we could say, it's all due to a very decided intent that at least one person stepped forward and said, I'm going to do this. Okay. In this case, Rachel was that person. And then from there, we've got people like Adam and Helen and others. If you're new here, you haven't even met yet. We've got a lot of people on staff. So don't assume that this is like some little, Rachel's e-commerce deal that she runs out of her mother's basement or something. No, I mean, we're all over the world. I'm in Phoenix, right? Soon to be in Vegas this weekend with our advanced group. Those of you who are able to attend live, going to be a lot of fun. I know there's going to be a cocktail party as well. I don't drink cocktails, but I do eat hors d'oeuvres. So we'll see how that goes. But we're not doing this alone, I guess is my point. And it's a point that I've brought up before, but I know we've got a lot of new people here who are just, embracing or confronting, this opportunity and this group for the first time. So I thought it would be good to focus on some of the subtleties, which, maybe you're thinking, I didn't sign up for, daily get-togethers with what looks like some nice people. I don't know about this Italian guy, Lavinia, but hey, Jan looks okay. And I think I could probably suffer through a couple minutes of Joe, and Crystal. But understand, as we've talked about before in these calls, there's multiple ways. There are multiple ways to get paid and to know that you're getting paid. Certainly, and quite obviously, the financial pay. Yes, here is the output of value into the marketplace, and here is the exchange in the form of current, right? Currency, right? The current goes out, the current comes in. We're talking about creating current, and one form of currency is, of course, money. But there's other ways that we get paid. And I can tell you, having been around many, many new entrepreneurs, people who are looking to transition out of the workaday world, where they also got paid rather predictably for however long that lasted, rather predictably, they got paid their salary or whatever it was, their hourly wage. Okay. But they also got paid in other ways, even if they didn't like the salary or were underpaid or whatever, right? They got paid in other ways, like working cooperatively with other people who are, on purpose, right? We're here to further the purposes of the corporation or, to serve the customer, right? So that's good. That's a form of pay. That's psychic pay or emotional pay. But here's the thing. While you had predictability in, let's say, the workaday world, the job world, you don't necessarily have that here, especially as a newbie. So a new person coming in, you might be thinking, well, where's the pay? Where's the money, right? I've been here 3 weeks or a couple of months. And, I've only made a couple sales, or I've made no sales at all, or whatever the statistic is. Okay, let's look at statistic for just a moment. And let's look at where is the mindset going here when we look at what we have accomplished or not accomplished in one and only one area of you getting paid, which in this case is money. While you had the salary before, and some of you have and some of you haven't, right? I haven't had a salary in decades. Okay, but when I was transitioning out of the world where there was more, let's say, predictability, right? If you show up and punch the clock, you get paid this much per hour. I had to confront the unpredictability of whatever my performance was going to be and how that was going to stick in the marketplace. Now, I believe in me, right? And hopefully all of us can say that of ourselves, right? As people with intent and self-determinism and purpose, right? And initiative and a work ethic. I believe in me. I bet on me. I invest in me. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And I'm going to apply some other methods that I haven't applied before. In this case, let's say e-commerce, right? Whatever that means. Well, it means lots of different things. In this case, we're talking about a specific approach to e-commerce. And yet I don't have a clock to punch. I don't have a certain amount of, dollars per hour or something. And in fact, I signed up for, and if we all look at ourselves here, we can see this. We signed up for unpredictability. Another way to say that is we signed up for an opportunity to have a leveraged income, a leveraged result. So the trap with the predictable salary or hourly wage, right? The trap is linear income, time in, money out. Okay. Even we could say this. I know we've got a lot of medical professionals here, right? So there's this thing called billable hours, or in the medical profession or legal, right? There's other ways to label that, but still, we're talking about you get paid when you have hands-on patient or customer or massage therapy or whatever, the client, right? Billable hours, you have your hands in the documents, right? So you're getting paid as long as you are physically present and exchanging time for the exchange of money. Here, what we signed up for is a leveraged income which can also turn into a passive income, which is really cool. Okay. But if we just look at the idea of leverage, well, let's say I put in the same work ethic, I could, with leverage, get out a whole lot more, right? Ultimately, now we're looking at like a passive income scenario. I'm not even showing up, but the money keeps coming in because why? Because I made efforts that would continue to pay beyond my own physical presence. Very smart thing to do. But what are you lacking? What are you lacking in all that? A weekly, every day or every week at 2:00, the checks come out. You don't get that here. Now, some of you have to keep the lights on while you're building this, right? You've got to, obviously continue working the job, pay the mortgage, whatever it is. So life is a little bit out of balance, but that's another argument for immersing yourself in an environment which is supportive of you doing this thing. Look, if you didn't have time at the water cooler with Bob at that job where you were getting underpaid for 5 years, you wouldn't have stuck around. In other words, part of your pay, which kept you in the job, were things that had nothing to do with the money. And maybe part of that pay, just the feeling of accomplishment of having served the customer or accomplished the project, right? There's a psychic pay to all this. So it is, I would argue, completely and totally necessary, quintessential, in fact, that you are immersed in an environment that is conducive to your success, especially at the outset. And it's because you're not getting paid financially yet. You've got to get paid in other ways. And you've got to be able to recognize that you are, right? So if we disregard or disqualify or invalidate the psychic, the emotional, the physiological, the spiritual aspects of this business, of this experience that you signed up for, if we invalidate that, then our focus gets fixated on the one thing, which is the least predictable thing, especially at the outset, which is, what is that coffee cup worth in the marketplace? I don't know. Neither do you. Neither does anybody. The marketplace will tell you. Where's the predictability in that? And I think a lot of people worship predictability, even at the expense of, especially at the expense of personal advancement. So I'm here to tell you that if you intend to advance in life, in business, in your lifestyle and financial ability and your immediate and ongoing, financial future, you've got to develop yourself. The late Jim Rohn said, work twice as hard on yourself as you do on your business. So the half hour or 40 minutes or whatever we spend here together, while it may or may not seem like it relates to, how successfully you put production on the board in terms of, selling products into the marketplace, it has everything to do with it. Because look, no one shows up here. Think of it like a mountain, right? Nobody shows up here with a ready to go helicopter. Actually, we do have a helicopter pilot who just joined the crew. But you're here. Was that Sean? I met Sean the other day. I think it was Sean. But notwithstanding actual physical helicopters, metaphorically speaking, here's the mountain. You're at the bottom. You don't have a helicopter. Even if you did, you don't know how to fly it. Okay, it would take a while to learn how to fly it too. Or you could hire people to build helicopters and fly helicopters to the top of the mountain. But let's say you're not in a financial position to do that, nor do you know who you can trust to build helicopters and fly helicopters these days. Okay, fine. So that means here you are at the bottom of the mountain, and there is a way to the top without a helicopter, and it's called climb. Do it, right? A consistent gradient where you are walking up the incline. Now, question for you, anyone who's ever climbed a mountain. Did you do it alone, or did you go like with the group? I'm not talking about just a little day hike. You go on a nature walk and whatever. I've climbed a couple mountains, not like Everest and, snow and ice picks and stuff like that. I don't like being cold. I live in Phoenix. I like to be warm. And so in the summertime here, there's some mountains where you can go up pretty high and it's nice and cool up there. It's definitely not snow. Okay. Up in Utah, they got snow all year. In Colorado, and some of those 13 to 14,000 foot peaks. But still, if we're going to do an event like that, like this is an event. I'm not just taking a nature walk for a couple hours. I did that on, was it Sunday with my daughter? We had a couple hours in the desert. Yay, nice, done. Let's go eat now. Okay. But if we're going on a hike, like for real, like up the mountain, we're not doing it alone, typically. Even if we look at, I mentioned Everest, right? So Who was the first guy to summit Everest on his third attempt? Sir Edmund Hillary. Did he do it alone? No. Anybody heard of Tenzing Norgay? All right. So these guys were, I mean, they were into it, obviously. I mean, everybody else who had attempted it had failed for years and years and years. Experts said it couldn't be done. People die, like for real, not just metaphorical death, but actual body death, right? So that mountain kills people. And so here is this guy who sets forth and says, I shall summit Everest. I shall conquer, right, the mountain, so to speak. And he didn't do it alone. And then once they had done it, now lots of people have done it. So there's a demonstration, right? There's being part of the solution in the lives of others. Now that you've just demonstrated, yes, this actually can be done. Roger Bannister did this when he ran the first sub 4-minute mile, right? Nobody ever could do that before. The experts said the human cardiovascular system was incapable of it. I heard that the ancient Egyptians used to turn a lion loose to see if they can get the guy to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. They all got eaten. Can't work. Okay. Then there's Roger Bannister, who showed up in work boots or something. And now everybody can run a 4-minute mile, right? I mean, if you can't run a 4-minute mile, don't bother showing up for the track meet, right? You're not up to par. And I guess we could look at what's in the food these days, but still, okay, a new precedent was set. You know, what's interesting also about Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay, this is a paraphrase, but somewhere in their memoirs, it was said, you know, we didn't conquer the mountain, we conquered ourselves. The mountain was always there. We didn't conquer the mountain. We conquered ourselves. They didn't do it alone. So as significant as this effort is for you, I mean, after all, you have invested money, time, attention. You could be doing other things more entertaining than this, I would argue, right? Listening to some Italian guy talk about, you know, life and philosophy or whatever. There's more entertaining things that you could be doing. But since you're investing your time, attention, money into growing yourself or growing your business, right? It would be a good idea to allocate and to allow yourself a good portion of that attention to be on those things which are maybe not obvious on the surface. So I'll keep showing up, right? I mean, we have these conversations and I never know what's going to come out of my mouth until I hear it. Hopefully you got something out of our talk today. If nothing else, allow this to validate that, yes, you're on the right track. And if by no other proof, then by the fact that you're not here alone. That would suck, right? I mean, daily success call, and you're the only person who showed up. I didn't even show up. It's just you. Interesting. I mean, just to imagine that, I don't know how that would look. But you know what? I think that's what a lot of people, if you look at how a lot of people live their lives, they roll out of bed and let's say they're in business. Let's say that in a parallel universe, there are people doing print-on-demand e-commerce, and they have no mentor, they have no community, they have, you know, possibly some examples they've seen. I mean, e-commerce existed before, you know, they decided to do it, right? They didn't originate the idea of e-commerce. So yeah, I see there's a website called Amazon. I mean, I buy stuff there. Etsy, eBay, right? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to conquer this mountain. And they roll out of bed and they open their computer, and there is the internet. And there they are. And that's it. That's their training. How's that sound? My goodness. I'm feeling nauseous just thinking about it, right? Every big advancement I've made in my life, and I've had a few, believe it or not, has come via the catalyst of another and other or others, right? So that could be a mentor. That could be a community, a combination of those. The idea that you're going to make big advancements, and I know some of you have very substantial goals, which bravo, right? Because you just need to know that you're worthy of big advancements, right? No question about that. Like you're here to like make a spectacle of yourself. Well, let's do that then. Okay. But the idea that you can evolve just of your own accord, with no mentoring or a supportive environment, I think is folly. At least that's what I've seen for myself. right? Sure, I can of my own self-determinism, I can make better choices, I can develop habits, and I damn well better. Okay. But when it comes to like breakthrough stuff, like breakthrough, like we're talking leverage now, an exponential increase, getting up a mountain, right? Not just a nature walk. Yeah, you're gonna have people you meet along the way to accelerate that. Yes. And if I could be a footnote in your next chapter of your book, you know what? I became successful, goodness, and I made all this money. And by the way, there was this crazy Italian guy, Lavinia. Yeah, and he said some stuff. And yeah, just give me a little footnote. That's all I want. All right. Anyway, I'm done talking. I love you guys. I hope I made some sense. Mark, save me, Mark. What am I talking about here today?
Well, you did make some sense, because I could just speak for myself. I mean, for me, it comes down to self-worth and belief in self. However, in saying that, I know that I could not have co-authored my 2 books without being in a mastermind in a community. And I know the importance of community. I understand the importance of this forum, this community right here. Matter of fact, I was only I came in about 4 minutes, and my gosh, the conversation was like, oh, girl, thank you for sharing. Missy was sharing some things, and there's some questions being thrown. I think Elsie was asking some questions, and a few others. And I was like, wow, that pertains to me. So that was awesome. Like, that was great. Wish I would have been here sooner. You could learn more. But the point is, and with your point, I'm a believer. We can't do things alone. We need I have a coach. I'm a coach, but I have a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And without that, I wouldn't be where I am with the community that I've experienced, that I put in front of myself, that I've attracted, or that however that works, law of attraction, whatever. But I know that I doubt that I would have accomplished as much if I didn't have that community of that group. So it's so cool, and you hit it home. And then, there comes some work. We have to have personal integrity. We do have to have that individual self-worth that we can push ourselves through when we are hitting a block. We get frustrated by technology, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, we need this community, and we can't do it alone. And if you try to do it alone, yeah, you're probably gonna not show up. It's difficult. Mm-hmm. So share that. Just echo what you said in that. Yeah.
You, Mark, and you mentioned that you're our coach and you have a coach, right? So that's an indicator as well. I get mentored all the time. So beware of the person who asserts their rightness about everything and that they've arrived or something. I mean, unless they're manifesting fish and loaves, they probably have some more stuff to learn. So, get a coach who has a coach. By the way, Rachel has mentors as well. So those of you going through our accelerator program, you're seeing that, right? That's actually a real thing. Missy, hey, Missy, come on out, my friend. You never get frustrated with technology though, Missy. You are like enlightened beyond all the universe.
I am as cool as a cucumber at all times, as everybody knows, as long as my mouth is taped shut.
Okay.
I just wanted to give a posthumous thank you to Andrew Carnegie, because as you've said many times, these methods have always been around, found by individuals, but in the past, individuals had independence, and they had a better education, and they had closer to nature and stronger in their personal development, and that's what they were after. They kept a journal, they followed themselves, but he made sure. Now, he did it by himself, but he made sure that Napoleon Hill spent 15, 20 years gathering the information to pass it on to the rest of the world. And I've been to his, in Manhattan a million times, and there's the Carnegie lot, everything. But this man is not getting enough credit. And because of him, just that alone, if we only had that book, we wouldn't be alone. But we have you, and we have our other coaches. And I do want to know who can mentor you, who can keep you in a room long enough. I don't know. I would love to meet that man or woman who does you, because you are at such a high level. But Thank you, Napoleon Hill. Thank you, John Lavenia. Thank you, Andrew Carnegie, and all the men who agreed to interview with him and give us this valuable information that without it, we wouldn't be finding it today. It'd be very difficult.
Thank you, Missy. And the answer is multiple people. And because I'm not looking for a mirror, nor am I looking for like a modern day Messiah or something, right? We have role models in different areas of living this, right? And so I would say, you mentioned, well, Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich and other works, right? But Hill would sit there with his mentors, some of which he never met in person. You remember reading this in Think and Grow Rich, right? He would have his boardroom. Here's the panel of experts. Here's Abraham Lincoln, right? Here's Thomas Edison, Napoleon Bonaparte, who had something to offer as well, and others. And he would mock up a conversation with these guys. And some people might say that's pretty far out, man. Okay, well, look at the guy's results. So sometimes I just sit there and think, well, what would my role model do who I admire in this area of life, right? Maybe I'll tell you, one for me would be Ben Franklin. Yeah. Ben friggin' Franklin. Oh my goodness. That guy. Oh my goodness. Or, put in a lot of people, right? Here's Jesus, right? Here's, other spiritual teachers, right? And then in business, right? You could even ask, what would Rachel do in this e-commerce scenario, right? And certainly you've got enough input from Rachel that you could even mock up that conversation, right? And maybe just open up your course and come to a lesson that's just talking to you and, here's what Rachel would do, right? So there are multiple mentors that you can have. I'll tell you right now, just before we came live on here today, I don't see any other hands up. You guys, if you want to share, come on out. But just before we got live on here today, I'm working on a business project, nothing to do with this e-commerce, but we had some technical stuff that just needed to be assembled. It wasn't like a glitch or a technical problem, but it was some things that needed to be put together, which I'm really good at, and my wife is really good at other aspects of this project. And so things which she was kind of stopped on, I just knocked it out, and then she was able to knock out her stuff. We probably got a day's work done in a half hour. By not doing it alone. Okay. Thank you, Missy. Anybody else want to share today? I don't see any other hands. Patrick, you're unmuted. Patrick, did you have a comment? Patrick?
No, I'm just listening.
Patrick
This is my
Connor?
first time here.
No?
This is my first time.
Well, that's
here.
Patrick, everybody. Welcome, Patrick. Where are you from, Patrick?
Hi, y'all. Kansas City.
Kansas City. I've heard of it. Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. Nice
Kansas
and
City,
warm
here I come. Here comes. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're glad you're here, brother. Welcome to the crew. Let's get Michael from Canada out here. Michael.
Hello from Canada.
Yep.
I learned a long time ago, I don't know who actually said this, that every coach needs a coach, and every person who thinks about a coach should get a coach and be a coach. It's kind of like the old thing where you're the student and the master, and that never changes because we're always learning something new. And I find they say, you can go fast by yourself, but you go far with a group of people. And I find the same thing. I mean, how long could we have beat our head against the wall with Gear Bubble or Etsy or any of these other things, and someone in the group pops up and goes, oh, I had the same problem, and this is how it was solved. What is that worth? We're talking about worth and currency. What is that worth? I mean, invaluable for most of us. Hey, Missy? We're on the same page. It's things like that where, without the group think, the group mentality, the mentorship, the camaraderie of all of us, we find, like you said, I forget how you put it, but you go insane, that kind of thing. It's exactly, you're going round and round in circles going, okay, it's a light bulb. I'm 144th try now. I know I'm going to get it one day. I just wish, maybe on the second or third try, it would have been successful rather than 100 and second or third try. So I think it's very
You're
important to,
referring to Edison. It was over
Yes.
10,000 failed.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
you know, if he had, you know, a group full of guys, maybe it would have been what, half, a quarter of that time, maybe.
He did have a group full of guys. He did. That was a bunch of guys failing thousands of times.
I thought he was on his own, or was it Franklin who was on his own?
No. Well, Franklin was flying kites and thunderstorms and stuff. Yeah, he was wacko. But yeah, Edison was Edison was just tired of candles and hot oil lamps, and thought there had to be something to do with this whole electricity thing, you know.
But yeah, it's like, you know, how many times do you have to do something to get the right combo, right? Yeah, good times, exactly.
Right.
That was just my little blurb.
Thank you, brother. Glad
Thank
you're
you.
here, man. Glad you're here. Go to Crystal. Hey, Crystal.
Guys.
Are you
Well,
on,
just as far as
Crystal?
I'm doing good. I'm doing better because of the group. Because this morning, if it hadn't been for the group and all the mentors, yeah, I don't know where my mindset would have been. Because basically, as I was speaking about earlier, I took my computer in, my laptop, to get some fixes, and they ended up deleting everything. Came back last night, nothing on my computer, gone, nada. So I have an appointment with Adam, luckily. But, you know, the best way to think about it, I'm going to go back and do my Italian screaming like Missy suggested. But before that, I'm kind of, you know, it's kind of a nice fresh start too, in a way, because as I was going along, I was putting things here and putting things there. So I'm looking at it kind of as, well, now I can just really do it twice and get everything there. I know it's all somewhere in there, right? Like my gear bubble's there, everything's there. I just gotta, it's a time component now, getting it all back. You know, like I even had to get my email put back on and download all my lessons and everything again this morning. So yeah, it's time consuming, but it's all going.
Okay.
So luckily, thank you to everybody and for this whole, yeah, the mentoring, and this is the best thing. You're right on right.
Beautiful.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Well, can I offer a tech tip?
Yeah, for sure.
Back up your hard drive. Yeah. Do you have backups?
Well, no, this is what they were supposed to have done. So I got to go back there because they put it all on the USB. They said they were. So I don't know if they just didn't finish it or what, but there's nothing. There's nothing to the iCloud or the OneCloud. There's nothing on there because I'd never, it's a newer computer. And so what's happening is the email that I had for that, I can't get the password to that. So it's just an ongoing, you know, without this, you can't do that. Without this, you can't do that. So, but I do know that I have all of my passwords and I have all my accounts written down so I can just plop them back on and open them back up and just go from there. So it's a time consuming thing now.
Okay.
I don't even know if I want to touch.
Well, I mean, it's nice to hit the reset button too. Sometimes people
Yeah.
deliberately just wipe out their whole hard drive and start over.
Yeah, right.
But obviously precious data needs to be maintained.
Yeah,
but
like all my designs and
Yeah.
mockups, everything's in there.
Okay,
But
so
they're probably
little tech tip for everyone. I'm not sure how this correlates to Windows machines. I'm sure there's something, but I know on a Mac, there's the whole Time Machine program, which can push right out to your router and always have backups and snapshots of every 10 minutes. Here's what was on the hard drive. So you've got that. But there's another program which I use for just total redundancy, and that's called Carbon Copy Cloner. Carbon Copy Cloner. It's made by Bostitch, I think. It's like $20, right? And it completely clones your hard drive to the degree that you could actually then take it and run a whole new machine. Just take a machine out, boot to that hard drive, and it is actually a clone of your hard drive, like right there, locally. Yeah. All right. So
maybe even put stuff on there that I've paid for that's gone, like apps that I've paid for. They put a different Defender on there when I had McAfee, already paying for McAfee. Like, so I don't really know. Yeah. Okay. So I don't really know what they've done.
Yeah, I switched to Mac in 2009. Windows Vista was what got me to switch to Mac, in case you're wondering. So
yeah, I will be doing that soon.
All right. Let's go ahead and wrap up with Pauline. Hey, Pauline, come on out. Where is Pauline? Oh, and Bryant. Hey, Pauline and Bryant. Pauline first.
Hi. Hi everyone. Hi. Yeah, just something that came to me as you was talking, John, and I was just listening, and how important it is that we were getting encouraged like 5 days a week at least through you and Karen, and there was a scripture, you probably know it, in Exodus, whereby the Israelites was fighting the Amalekites. And so as you was talking about going up the mountain and needing that help, that came to me when they were fighting, and Moses had his hands up, and when his hands got tired, and so while Moses' hands was up, the Israelites was winning the battle. But when his hands got tired and he put it down, then it was the Amalekites winning the battle. And then so Aaron and decided that they'll sit him down on a stone and they hold his hands up. And they were helping him, and they kept his hands up. And while his hand was up, the Israelites was winning the battle. And so that sort of came to me how important it is. What you're doing and what your whole team is doing is literally holding our hands up so that we can achieve our goals and achieve what we want to do. So I just want to say thank you very much, all of you, for your support, and even those on here that I've listened to the encouragements and stuff. So thank you so much. It's just amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So good to see you, Pauline. It's been a little while.
Yes,
Glad you're
I
here, my
know.
friend.
I have been listening, but I've been so busy. And right now I've got a meeting at 7 o'clock. So it's all just been rushing in from work and sort of, so I've been cooking at the same time. So I've just been listening and yeah. Thank you.
There's actually everyone, there's a method. This is like a neurolinguistic programming method where if you're feeling down or depressed or something, that if you take a pencil, put it across your mouth, like in your teeth, and you stand with your hands up, then you can't maintain your depression. Like it has to be redirected or something based on the motion and the physiology of, going in that position right there. Interesting to try that. I might do that as soon as we're done. Hey, I might do it right now. Hey, where's Bryant? Let's wrap up with Bryant. Bryant, did you have a comment? Where did Bryant go?
I was gonna ask a question.
Yes, sir.
It was what was the name of the mini hard drive that you were talking about?
Well, no, it's just a program. It's called Carbon Copy Cloner, and you will clone the local hard drive in your machine to an external drive, and you can do that on a schedule or whatever, just like any backup program. But it is a direct clone, including system files, configurations, everything, to the degree where you could actually just take that hard drive and run your computer off of it if the local one died. Right? Yeah.
All right, thank you. Awesome. That was it.
You're welcome. All right, guys. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Good to see you all. I'm going to be back here with you on Friday. And tomorrow, of course, you get Karen. So hooray for you. Make it a great